In the tapestry of time, there are truths so ancient they feel almost forgotten, yet they hold the power to transform every heartbeat of your existence. As we step into 2025, the veil between the seen and unseen grows thin. Your life is not bound by chance, it is shaped by the invisible laws that have guided kings, sages, and dreamers for centuries. If you dare to believe, these secrets can unlock a reality where your deepest desires are not distant wishes, but living certainties. Today, I will hand you the keys. Yai, the law of divine correspondence. The law of divine correspondence is the eternal truth that your outer world is nothing more than a faithful reflection of your inner world. Every experience, every encounter, every result you see around you is a mirror of the thoughts, beliefs, and feelings you carry within. Life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. The visible realm is simply an echo of the invisible one, and that invisible one resides in the chambers of your mind and heart. The moment you shift your inner pattern, the outer pattern must respond, for it cannot do otherwise. It is bound to follow the blueprint you hold in consciousness. When a person longs for a change in life, they often start by trying to rearrange the outer circumstances, moving people, places, or conditions around like pieces on a chessboard. Yet, until the inner state is altered, the outer will return to its original reflection. This is why the ancient wisdom urges the seeker to look within first. It is not your surroundings that shape you. It is your inner conviction that shapes your surroundings. If you carry the image of lack, the world will present you with scenes of lack. If you carry the image of abundance, the world will rise to display its overflowing generosity. The law works with absolute precision, never faltering, never sleeping. It is as constant as gravity and as impartial as sunlight. You cannot demand joy from the outside while harboring bitterness within. You cannot expect harmony while secretly holding to resentment. The outer world obeys the vibration you emit, and your vibration is determined by the thoughts you choose, the words you speak, and the emotions you allow to dwell in your heart. To work with this law, you must become a vigilant gardener of the mind. Every thought is a seed, and the soil of your inner world is fertile beyond measure. Plant seeds of beauty, kindness, faith, and prosperity, and your outer life will inevitably blossom with their likeness. This is not imagination in vain, it is the ancient art of alignment. You are not creating something from nothing, you are calling forth what already exists in the unseen realm into visible form. Your environment, relationships, and opportunities are living letters, spelling out the language of your consciousness. If you wish to read a different story in the book of your life, you must write different words upon the pages of your mind. This law is not cruel, it is merciful. It allows you to see in every moment the truth you have been holding within. If you dislike the reflection, you do not smash the mirror, you change the image it reflects. This is why the wise have always placed emphasis on inner discipline. Meditation, affirmations, sacred visualization, and prayer are not idle practices. They are tools for shaping the invisible realm that rules the visible. They are the chisels that carve new forms in the marble of your consciousness. By shaping the inner first, you command the outer to follow in perfect order. It is here that the greatest freedom is found. You are not at the mercy of outer events. You are the cause, and the world is the effect. This truth is not meant to burden you with guilt, but to empower you with choice. The moment you take ownership of your inner state, you hold the power to transform the outer scene. The law of divine correspondence waits patiently for you to speak a new decree within, so that it may arrange the outer world to match it. Sacred word power. From the dawn of creation, the spoken word has been the bridge between the unseen and the seen. It is not mere sound carried through the air. It is a decree that shapes reality. Every word you speak carries a vibration, and that vibration calls forth a matching form in the material world. This is why ancient sages guarded their tongues and chose their speech with precision. They understood that to speak is to plant, and every planted word must grow into its own likeness. Your words are never idle. They may seem small, tossed casually in conversation, but each one is a seed sown into the fertile soil of the universe. Words of fear, doubt, or complaint will yield their own harvest, just as surely as words of love, faith, and prosperity will yield theirs. The universe does not question whether you truly want what you speak. It simply takes your words as commands and begins to arrange circumstances to match them. This is the sacred and solemn power of speech. When you declare "I am," you open the door to creation. Whatever follows those two words becomes an order given to life itself. "I am tired," summons weariness. "I am prosperous," summons supply. The law does not distinguish between jest and sincerity. It responds to the vibration. This is why those who understand the creative force of speech refuse to speak against themselves, even in humor. They will not give life to the seeds of limitation by uttering them aloud. There is a sacred alignment between thought, word, and manifestation. A thought alone has creative power, but when it is spoken, it gains momentum and becomes a living decree. The spoken word carries the breath of life, and breath is the very symbol of spirit. When you speak with conviction, your words are not simply heard, they are received by the invisible realm as instructions to be carried out. Guarding your speech is not a practice of repression, but of refinement. It is a conscious choice to speak only that which builds, blesses, and aligns with the life you wish to experience. If a word does not serve your highest vision, it is better left unspoken. Silence can be more powerful than careless speech, for silence allows you to choose with care the seeds you will sow. Ancient wisdom teaches that words spoken with gratitude and faith have the power to move mountains. When you declare your blessing before it appears, you are aligning with the unseen reality that already holds it. You are affirming that your good is not dependent on appearances, but on the unchanging laws of spirit. Such words carry a vibration so high that they dissolve obstacles and call forth the perfect conditions for their fulfillment. Conversely, words spoken in fear or complaint anchor you to the very conditions you wish to escape. They bind you to the problem because the law of creation knows no neutrality. It produces whatever is spoken with emotion. This is why the mindful soul disciplines the tongue, refusing to lend their voice to what they do not wish to multiply. To live in harmony with the sacred word power is to become an artist of speech. You speak beauty, and beauty comes. You speak abundance, and abundance answers. You speak love, and love surrounds you. In this way, your words become not only a tool for personal creation, but a blessing to all who hear them. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to sow seeds of light in the hearts of others. For what you speak into the life of another returns to you multiplied through the same law that governs all creation.
The golden expectation.
The golden expectation is the unwavering anticipation that life is conspiring in your favor, that every day carries with it a gift, and that your good is on its way in perfect form and perfect timing. It is not mere wishful thinking. It is a deep inner knowing that what you seek is already yours in the unseen realm, awaiting only your readiness to receive. Expectation is the magnet of the mind, drawing to you the people, circumstances, and opportunities that match the image you hold within. What you expect, you invite. The one who walks through life braced for disappointment will find endless proof that their fears were justified. The one who rises each morning with the certainty that something wonderful is unfolding will discover again and again that the world responds to their faith. Expectation is a silent decree, a steady signal sent out into the ethers, shaping the very events that will soon arrive. Ancient wisdom reveals that expectation and belief are inseparable twins. You cannot truly believe in your good without expecting it to appear, and you cannot expect without first believing that it is possible. The golden expectation rests on the conviction that the source of all life is abundant, generous, and unfailing. It refuses to accept the idea that blessings are rare or reserved for the few. Instead, it holds that good is your divine inheritance, and to expect less is to deny the truth of who you are. The law responds to expectation with exact precision. When your mind holds the image of a desired outcome and your heart anticipates its arrival, the universe moves to arrange the scene. Doors open without strain, chance meetings lead to pivotal moments, and solutions appear where once there seemed only obstacles. The expectation itself becomes the invisible architect, designing the bridge between where you stand and where you wish to be. The golden expectation is not impatient. It does not demand to know when or how the good will come. Instead, it rests in calm assurance, knowing that all is moving toward fulfillment. Impatience is a form of doubt, and doubt breaks the circuit between you and your desire. True expectation waits with the serenity of one who knows the outcome is secure. Like a gardener planting a seed, you do not dig it up each day to see if it is growing. You water it with faith, sunshine, and trust until the day it bursts into bloom. To live with golden expectation is to train your inner vision to see beyond appearances. Even in the midst of challenge, you hold to the certainty that this, too, will lead to good. You refuse to interpret delays as denials, for you understand that timing is part of the perfection. You speak of your desire as though it were already a fact, not to deceive yourself, but to align your vibration with the reality you wish to experience. Expectation is a choice renewed daily. Each morning, you may choose to look for signs of lack or for signs of blessing. The one who chooses blessing will find it in the smallest details: the warmth of sunlight, the kindness of a stranger, the arrival of unexpected help. These are not accidents, they are the first fruits of your expectation, evidence that more is on the way. In the golden expectation, there is no room for anxious striving. You do not chase your desire, you magnetize it. You do not plead for your good, you prepare for it. Preparation is the highest proof of expectation, setting the table before the guest arrives, opening the door before the knock, making space in your life for what you know is coming. This is the posture of one who trusts that the universe cannot fail to deliver what the heart faithfully expects. The invisible blueprint. Before a single stone is laid in the visible world, a design already exists in the invisible. This is the nature of all creation. First, the pattern in the unseen, and then its manifestation in form. The invisible blueprint is the perfect plan for your life, held in the realm beyond sight, waiting for you to align with it so it can unfold. It contains every detail of your highest good, every opportunity, every relationship, every resource you will ever need. Nothing is missing from it, and nothing in it is accidental. The physical world is the final stage of creation, not the starting point. What you see around you today is simply the outpicturing of the blueprint you have been holding in thought, belief, and feeling. When you look at your life, you are looking at the architecture of your inner world. If the design within is small, the outer result will be small. If the design is rich, harmonious, and expansive, the outer will reflect it in kind. The invisible blueprint does not impose itself upon you. It waits patiently for your cooperation, for your willingness to believe in something greater than what your physical senses report. The challenge for most is that they try to alter life by manipulating the form, without ever changing the pattern from which the form arises. It is like trying to alter a building by rearranging the furniture while ignoring the plans from which it was built. True transformation begins when you consciously redraw the blueprint within. Your thoughts are the lines of this inner drawing, your words the ink, and your feelings the colors that fill it in. Every mental image you hold with focus and emotion imprints itself upon the blueprint. Hold an image of harmony, and harmony becomes part of the design. Hold an image of struggle, and struggle is etched into the pattern. The law is exact. Without favoritism, it reproduces whatever is inscribed upon the inner plan. To work with the invisible blueprint is to understand that imagination is not fantasy, it is a tool of creation. When you visualize a desired outcome with faith and detail, you are sketching its place in the pattern of your life. You are not creating something out of nothing. You are revealing what already exists in potential, waiting for your permission to emerge. The moment the inner plan is complete and you stand in full agreement with it, the outer must follow. There is no limit to the size, beauty, or abundance of your blueprint, except the limits you impose upon it. Fear, doubt, and unworthiness act as erasers, weakening the lines of your inner design. Faith, joy, and gratitude strengthen the lines until they are vivid and undeniable. The clearer and more consistent the blueprint, the swifter the manifestation. This law explains why sudden changes in consciousness can produce what seems like sudden changes in circumstances. The truth is, nothing happened suddenly. It was forming in the unseen all along until the blueprint was ready to reveal itself. This is why some experience what they call miracles when they shift their inner state. The outer simply catches up to the completed pattern. Living by the invisible blueprint requires a quiet confidence. You do not panic when conditions appear contrary to your desire, for you know the outer world is still rearranging itself to match the new plan. You understand that the seen is temporary, but the unseen is the source. You tend to the inner with care, knowing that the outer will come into perfect alignment in its appointed time. You become less concerned with forcing results and more devoted to refining the pattern from which all results flow, releasing the shadows. Within every life there are shadows, those lingering memories, resentments, fears, and wounds that cloud the light of the present moment. They may be hidden from view, buried deep in the subconscious, yet they cast their influence upon every decision, every relationship, every opportunity. Releasing the shadows is the sacred act of clearing the inner space so that the light of your true self may shine without obstruction. Until they are released, these shadows distort the picture of your life, creating patterns you may not consciously choose yet continually experience. The shadows often take the form of unresolved anger, old betrayals, or regrets from paths not taken. They can also be the subtle weight of limiting beliefs, ideas absorbed long ago from others who themselves were bound by fear. The danger lies not in their existence, but in their hold over you. They whisper to the mind that the past defines the future, that wounds cannot heal, that certain blessings are beyond reach. These are lies, yet they can feel like truth when they remain unexamined and unhealed. Releasing the shadows does not mean denying what has happened or pretending that pain was never felt. It means acknowledging its presence, understanding its lesson, and then setting it free so it no longer holds the power to shape your destiny. Just as a room cannot be filled with sunlight until the heavy curtains are drawn, your life cannot be filled with its highest good until the shadows are released. This release often begins with forgiveness. Forgiveness is not a gift you give to another. It is the key that unlocks your own chains. It is the decision to no longer carry the burden of another's wrong or your own past mistake. It is the recognition that holding on to bitterness is like clutching a burning coal, hoping it will harm someone else. The moment you choose to forgive, you open a channel for new life to enter, for resentment is a wall that keeps blessings at bay. Alongside forgiveness is the willingness to release fear. Fear is a shadow that thrives in the absence of faith. It narrows your vision, blurs your judgment, and convinces you to settle for less than you deserve. Releasing fear is not about banishing it by force, but about replacing it with trust. Trust in the divine order, trust in your own worth, trust that the unknown holds treasures and not threats. The process of releasing also calls for self-compassion. Many shadows persist because they are tied to self-judgment. You may carry the weight of, "I should have known better," or "I should have done more." Such thoughts keep the past alive and drain the present of its power. Self-compassion is the gentle voice that says, "I was learning, I was growing, and I now choose differently." It is the healing balm that allows old wounds to close. When shadows are released, energy is freed. The space they occupied becomes available for joy, creativity, and inspiration. Relationships improve because you no longer see others through the lens of old hurts. Opportunities appear because your vision is no longer dimmed by the expectation of disappointment. Life feels lighter because the weight you carried was never meant to be yours forever. Releasing the shadows is not a one-time act but a continual practice. New experiences can create new shadows if left unattended, which is why it is wise to regularly cleanse the heart and mind. Reflection, prayer, and stillness allow you to notice when something is weighing you down so you can let it go before it takes root. In this way, you remain clear, open, and ready to receive the full measure of your highest good. Gratitude as a magnet. Gratitude is more than a polite acknowledgement of what you have. It is a powerful magnetic force that draws to you more of whatever you appreciate. When you give thanks with a sincere heart, you align yourself with the frequency of abundance, and abundance responds by multiplying itself in your life. Gratitude is not dependent on the size of the blessing. It thrives in recognizing even the smallest gifts, for each act of acknowledgement strengthens the current that brings greater good into form. The energy of gratitude transforms perception. A person who walks in thankfulness sees opportunities where another sees only obstacles. They notice beauty in what others overlook. They interpret challenges not as punishments, but as pathways to growth and wisdom. This shift in perception is not merely an emotional comfort, it is the opening of a channel through which blessings flow. When you live in gratitude, you are telling the universe, "I see your generosity, and I am ready for more." Gratitude multiplies because it creates agreement between your heart and the flow of life. Complaining sends a signal of lack, anchoring you to the very conditions you wish to escape. Gratitude sends a signal of sufficiency, inviting more of the same. Just as a magnet cannot help but draw to itself whatever matches its field, gratitude cannot help but attract experiences, people, and circumstances that match the joy and appreciation you radiate. The practice of gratitude is most potent when it is unconditional. It is easy to be thankful when life is smooth, but true gratitude thanks even in advance, before the blessing has appeared in visible form. Such gratitude is a declaration of faith. It says, "I know my good is already on the way, and I rejoice in it now." This anticipatory gratitude pulls the unseen into the seen, just as surely as the sunrise follows the night. Gratitude also dissolves resistance. When you focus on what you appreciate, you loosen the grip of fear, resentment, or anxiety. You cannot hold two opposing vibrations at once. Thankfulness and worry cannot occupy the same space in the heart. By choosing gratitude, you naturally release the energy of struggle, allowing the higher currents of harmony and abundance to take their place. This law operates in both the great and the small. Thanking for a meal attracts more provision. Thanking for a friend attracts more loving relationships. Thanking for a successful moment attracts more opportunities for success. The universe mirrors your appreciation by presenting you with more of what you affirm as good. This is why the ancient teachings remind us to give thanks in all things, not to pretend that all things are pleasant, but to recognize that every moment holds a gift when seen through the eyes of the Spirit. Gratitude is not only expressed in words, it is expressed in the way you treat what you have. Caring for your possessions, honoring your commitments, and using your resources wisely are all acts of thanksgiving. These actions tell life that you value what you have been given, and in valuing it, you prepare yourself to receive more. Living with gratitude as a magnet means beginning and ending each day with a thankful heart. It is pausing to acknowledge the blessings already present before reaching for the next desire. It is writing the inner script of your life in the language of appreciation, knowing that every line written in gratitude becomes a living reality. In this way, gratitude is not only the response to blessings, it is the cause of them. The law of substitution. The law of substitution is the divine principle that no two thoughts can occupy the mind at the same time. You can replace one idea with another, but you cannot hold both simultaneously. Just as darkness cannot remain when light is introduced, a thought of fear cannot stand when replaced with a thought of faith. This law is a gift to the seeker, for it grants the power to choose the mental images that will take root and shape life's experiences. Every experience begins with a thought, and every thought carries its own vibration. Thoughts of worry, resentment, or lack create corresponding conditions in the outer world. But when a thought that harms is replaced with one that uplifts, the outer world must eventually rearrange itself to match the higher vibration. The law of substitution works instantly in the unseen and inevitably in the seen, for the inner pattern always precedes the outer form. Applying this law requires awareness. The mind, left unattended, will often drift toward old habits of thinking, but the moment you recognize a thought that does not serve your highest good, you hold the power to replace it. You may substitute an image of failure with a vision of success, a memory of hurt with a picture of healing, a feeling of scarcity with the certainty of abundance. The replacement must be deliberate and vivid, for the mind responds to the strength of the image it holds. Affirmations are a practical expression of this law. Speaking a word of truth replaces the inner chatter of doubt. Saying, "I am guided, guarded, and provided for," in the moment of fear, plants a new seed in the soil of the mind. Visualization is another tool, closing your eyes to the outer problem and opening them inward to a mental picture of your desired good. The more often you substitute the image, the more quickly it becomes the dominant pattern. The law is impartial. It does not question whether a thought is true or false. It simply accepts the image you choose and begins to work from it. This is why the conscious replacement of negative thoughts is so powerful. It interrupts the momentum of unwanted creation and sets a new creation in motion. The old image fades as it is starved of attention, and the new image grows as it is fed by focus and belief. Emotions act as the cement that holds a thought in place. When you replace a negative thought, it is wise to attach to the new one a feeling of joy, relief, or gratitude. The stronger the feeling, the more firmly the thought is imprinted. This is not pretending or ignoring reality. It is choosing the reality you wish to experience, knowing that the outer world will reflect it in time. The law of substitution also applies in relationships and communication. When tempted to speak words of complaint, you may substitute them with words of praise. When ready to judge, you may substitute with understanding. Such choices not only shift your own vibration, but influence the atmosphere around you, drawing forth better responses from others. Living by this law is a practice of constant renewal. It asks you to become the gatekeeper of your mind, refusing entry to thoughts that would plant seeds of discord. Each substitution is a conscious act of creation, a redirection of energy toward what you desire most. In time, the habit of substitution becomes second nature, and the mind, once a battlefield, becomes a garden where only the seeds of your highest good are allowed to grow. Sacred timing. Sacred timing is the understanding that every desire, every opportunity, and every unfolding of life arrives at the perfect moment, neither too soon nor too late. It is the divine orchestration of events, weaving together countless unseen threads so that when your good appears, it arrives in harmony with all that surrounds it. This law reminds you that the universe is never rushed, yet it is never delayed. What belongs to you cannot be lost, and what is not yours cannot be forced into place. Impatience is the shadow that clouds the vision of sacred timing. The human mind often demands instant results, seeking to control the process through urgency or force. Yet, when a seed is planted, no amount of pulling at the sprout will make it grow faster. It must unfold in its own season, drawing upon the unseen nourishment that prepares it for the light. So it is with every desire you hold. While you may not see movement on the surface, life is arranging conditions beneath the soil of reality. Trusting sacred timing means understanding that delays are often acts of protection or preparation. A door may remain closed because what waits behind it is not yet ready, or because you are being strengthened for what you will find there. To receive something before you are prepared for it can turn a blessing into a burden. The divine plan ensures that when the appointed moment arrives, you will be equipped to receive and sustain the gift fully. This timing is guided by a wisdom far greater than human logic. There are forces aligning, people you have yet to meet, places you have yet to stand in, and resources you have yet to discover. These elements move according to their own schedules, intersecting with yours at the moment that will create the most perfect outcome. Rushing the process risks arriving before the pieces are in place, like stepping onto a stage before the set is built. Sacred timing asks for patience, but not for passivity. It is not the waiting of idleness, but the waiting of preparation. While the universe aligns the outer conditions, you align the inner, strengthening your faith, refining your vision, and making ready the space for your desire to dwell. You act when guided, but you release the need to control the hour of fulfillment. When you live in trust of sacred timing, anxiety loses its hold. You stop measuring your progress by the clock and start measuring it by the clarity of your alignment. You understand that the absence of visible results is not evidence of failure. It is simply the quiet stage before the curtain rises. Just as dawn cannot be hurried yet always arrives, your good comes in its appointed time, bringing with it a sense of inevitability and rightness that could not be manufactured by haste. The beauty of this law is that it allows life to surprise you. Often, what arrives at the right moment exceeds what you imagined when you first desired it. Time has refined it, added to it, and prepared you to receive it with a fullness that would not have been possible earlier. What may have seemed like delay becomes the very reason the gift feels so complete. Sacred timing teaches surrender, not as resignation, but as cooperation with the greater flow. It is the calm assurance that while you walk your path, the unseen hand of the universe is arranging the way ahead. It is the knowing that the perfect moment is already chosen and that your only task is to remain in faith so that when it arrives, you meet it with open hands and a ready heart. The circle of completion. The circle of completion is the divine principle that nothing new can fully enter your life until what is unfinished has been brought to its rightful close. Just as a door must be shut before another can be opened, the old must be released, resolved, or fulfilled so that the new may have room to arrive. This law operates silently, yet powerfully, ensuring that cycles are honored, lessons are learned, and energies are balanced before life moves forward. Unfinished matters hold energy. Whether it is an unspoken word, a broken promise, a lingering resentment, or a task left undone, it occupies space in both mind and spirit. This unclosed circle acts as a weight, subtly drawing attention back to what is incomplete. It can drain vitality, cloud vision, and delay the arrival of the very opportunities you desire. Life resists the flow of abundance when it is tangled in the threads of what has not been resolved. Completion is not always about finishing something in the way you once imagined. It is about bringing a sense of closure and peace to it. A conversation that needs to be had, a debt that needs to be settled, a possession that needs to be returned. Each act of completion frees a portion of your energy and signals to the universe that you are ready for the next stage. When a circle is closed, it releases its power back to you, and that power can be directed toward what you truly wish to create. The circle of completion also applies to inner states. Old beliefs, outdated dreams, and identities that no longer fit must be laid to rest. Holding on to what once was can prevent you from stepping fully into what is becoming. Just as the seasons turn, each phase of life has its moment, and clinging to the past interrupts the natural rhythm. Completion honors the season for what it has given, then lets it go with gratitude. When you consciously practice completion, you create a clear field for manifestation. The act of clearing a space, organizing a neglected area, or tying up loose ends sends a signal to the universe. I am prepared for what is next. This signal is powerful because it mirrors the way nature works. A tree sheds its leaves to make way for new growth, rivers clear debris to flow freely, and the moon completes its cycle before beginning again. Avoidance is the enemy of completion. The mind may resist facing what is unfinished because it fears discomfort, conflict, or loss. Yet postponing the close of a cycle only prolongs the discomfort and magnifies the weight it carries. By stepping into the act of completion with courage, you free yourself from the energy of postponement and align with the energy of readiness. The circle of completion is not about perfection, it is about integrity. Integrity means wholeness, and wholeness is restored when the pieces of your life are acknowledged, tended to, and brought to their rightful end. This wholeness strengthens your foundation so that new creations can stand upon it without collapsing under the strain of what was left unresolved. Once a circle is complete, its energy becomes neutral. It no longer pulls you backward or holds you in place. The space it leaves behind is open, clean, and inviting to the new. This is the sacred gift of completion. It is not an ending but a preparation, the drawing of one circle so that another may begin with clarity, energy, and grace. Walking in the end result. Walking in the end result is the art of living, thinking, and feeling as though your desire has already been fulfilled. It is stepping into the state of completion before the evidence appears, wearing the vibration of your goal as naturally as you wear your own skin. This is not pretending or wishful imagining. It is alignment with the truth that all creation begins in the unseen, and what is held as real within must eventually take form without. When you walk in the end result, you are not hoping for your desire, you are embodying it. Hope can still contain uncertainty, but embodiment carries conviction. You speak from the place of already having, you make decisions from the place of already being, and you carry yourself as one whose dream is no longer a distant vision, but a present reality. This inner posture sends a clear signal to the universe, declaring that you and your desire are already one. The outer world mirrors the inner state. If you walk as though your desire is still far away, you prolong its distance. But if you walk as though it is here, you close the gap between thought and manifestation. This is why the ancient wisdom advises to act as if, not as a performance for others, but as a discipline of consciousness. Every choice, every word, every action becomes a thread that weaves the reality you are already living in mind. Walking in the end result also transforms your emotional state. You no longer carry the weight of longing, which is rooted in lack. Instead, you live in the lightness of gratitude, which is rooted in possession. Gratitude is the natural emotion of the fulfilled state, and it draws to you the circumstances that match it. In this way, walking in the end result is not merely a mental exercise, but an energetic alignment that magnetizes your desire into form. This practice requires imagination, for imagination is the workshop of the unseen. You see yourself in the place you wish to be, interacting with the people, experiences, and conditions of your fulfilled life. You feel the emotions of that scene so vividly that they leave an imprint upon your consciousness. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. It accepts the image as truth and begins to create the conditions to match it. Resistance may arise when appearances contradict your inner vision. The senses may insist that it isn't here yet, but the discipline is to hold to the inner reality with more faith than you give to the outer. You understand that appearances are temporary, but the inner state is the blueprint that shapes them. By remaining loyal to the end result in thought and feeling, you allow the outer world to reorganize itself in perfect timing. Walking in the end result also influences your decisions in practical ways. When you see yourself as already prosperous, you make choices that reflect abundance rather than scarcity. When you see yourself as already healthy, you choose habits that honor vitality. When you see yourself as already successful, you move with confidence and take actions that align with that success. The identity you wear determines the life you live. This is not a practice of force, but of surrender, surrendering the struggle of how and resting in the knowing of it is done. You allow the universe to handle the orchestration while you handle the embodiment. You meet each day from the position of arrival, no longer waiting for the future to deliver what you have already claimed in consciousness. And in this way, the line between the imagined and the experienced dissolves until they become one seamless reality, the mirror of giving. The mirror of giving is the divine reflection that whatever you release into the world, whether in thought, word, or deed, must return to you multiplied. Life is a mirror, and giving is the way you cast your image upon it. Every act of generosity is a seed planted in the unseen, and in its own season, it grows and returns as harvest. This is not limited to material gifts. It includes kindness, encouragement, love, time, and attention. When you give, you affirm abundance. You declare to the universe that you have more than enough to share, and this declaration creates a vibration of plenty. The act of giving is itself a signal that your source is unlimited, and the universe responds by mirroring that truth back to you. Giving breaks the grip of fear and scarcity because it shifts the focus from holding to flowing, from guarding to trusting. The mirror of giving works according to the nature of what is given. When you give joy, you open the channel for joy to return. When you give respect, you create the conditions for respect to meet you. The mirror is exact. It does not distort, but it also magnifies. A small act of love can ripple into great waves of blessing, just as a small act of bitterness can echo back in multiplied form. Conscious giving is the key, for unconscious giving of resentment or fear will return in kind. True giving is free from the grasp of expectation. When you give only to receive from the same source, you limit the infinite channels through which your return could flow. The universe is not bound to repay you through the person you gave to. It may send your return through entirely different avenues. Your role is to give with an open heart, releasing the gift into the stream of life, knowing it will circle back in perfect form and timing. Giving is also an act of alignment. You align yourself with the qualities you wish to experience. If you desire peace, be the one who brings peace. If you desire opportunity, be the one who opens doors for others. If you desire understanding, be the one who listens deeply. The mirror of life cannot give you what you do not give through your own being. The outer reflection is shaped by the inner source. There is a purity in giving from overflow rather than depletion. Giving from guilt or fear is not true giving. It carries a vibration of lack and will return more lack. But giving from the fullness of knowing that your supply is endless opens the channels wide. In this way, giving becomes not a loss but an expansion. The more you pour out, the more room there is for the universe to fill you again. Even in difficult times, the mirror of giving remains faithful. When resources seem scarce, a small act of generosity can shift your energy and break the pattern of contraction. You may give a word of encouragement, a helping hand, or a moment of genuine presence. The act itself is a statement of faith that abundance is still your reality, even when appearances suggest otherwise. The mirror of giving teaches that life is never a one-way exchange. You cannot pour without being filled, and you cannot withhold without feeling the emptiness it creates. To give is to circulate the energy of good, and in circulation there is always renewal. As you move through the world with open hands and an open heart, the mirror reflects back a world that is equally open to you. The silent alignment. The silent alignment is the quiet, inner agreement between your soul and the infinite order of the universe. It is the deep stillness where desire and belief meet without conflict, where you no longer argue with your own good or question the path that brings it. In this sacred space, you are not forcing, pleading, or struggling. You are allowing. The outer silence is a reflection of the inner calm that comes when you know your desire is already set in motion. This alignment begins with releasing the noise of doubt. Doubt is the static that disrupts the frequency of manifestation, scattering your focus and weakening your intention. Silence is not the absence of action, but the cleansing of unnecessary resistance. In the quiet, your mind rests from the urge to figure everything out, and your spirit becomes attuned to the subtle guidance that can only be heard when you are still. Silent alignment is the opposite of anxious waiting. Anxious waiting keeps looking to the clock, measuring distance between here and there, and reinforcing the belief that you are not yet where you wish to be. Silent alignment, however, stands in the now as if the arrival has already happened. It is the poise of knowing, the grace of certainty, and the peace of trust. When you practice silent alignment, your energy shifts into harmony with your desire. You do not chase after it or try to force its unfolding. You walk in the vibration of having already received. This stillness is magnetic. It draws your good toward you without the friction of effort. In the unseen, all the elements are being arranged, and your calm faith allows them to fall into perfect place. The ancient wisdom understood the power of such alignment. In the stillness of dawn, in the quiet of solitary moments, the soul could hear the truth that the outer world is merely a reflection of the inner state. By tending to the inner, the outer must inevitably adjust. This is why the masters of manifestation have always valued silence, not as withdrawal from life, but as the center from which life is consciously shaped. In silent alignment, you also stop explaining your vision to those who cannot see it. You no longer scatter your energy by defending your dreams or seeking constant validation. The seeds of your desires are like tender shoots. Too much exposure to criticism or disbelief can stunt their growth. Silence becomes the fertile soil in which they root deeply before they bloom in the open. This practice requires trust in the unseen. You accept that the invisible is not empty. It is full of potential, already arranging your path in ways you cannot yet observe. Like a seed beneath the earth, your desire is germinating in silence. You do not dig it up to check its progress. You nurture it by holding steady in your belief. Silent alignment also refines your actions. From the stillness, you sense which steps are truly inspired and which are driven by fear or impatience. You move with intention, guided by a wisdom that does not shout but whispers. In this way, your actions carry greater precision and power because they are aligned with the current of your desire rather than working against it. In the end, silent alignment is not about doing nothing. It is about doing only what is in harmony with your already fulfilled reality. It is resting in the certainty that you are moving with the flow of life, not against it. The silence within becomes the sacred space where your desire and the universe meet as one, and in that unity, the manifestation is already complete. The gate of forgiveness. The gate of forgiveness is the passage through which the soul steps into freedom. It is the threshold between the weight of the past and the lightness of the present. Until one passes through this gate, the heart remains bound by chains of resentment, regret, or guilt. Forgiveness is not the approval of wrong. It is the release of the burden you carry because of it. It is the key that unlocks the prison you unknowingly built for yourself. When you hold on to anger or bitterness, you keep the wound alive. Every time you replay the memory, you reopen the cut, feeding it with fresh pain. This is why the act of forgiveness is as much for the forgiver as it is for the forgiven. It is a declaration that you will no longer be governed by the offense or by the shadow of its memory. You reclaim your energy and call your power back to yourself. Forgiveness also opens the channels for manifestation. Resentment blocks the flow of good just as surely as a dam blocks a river. It clogs the inner space where love, peace, and abundance are meant to circulate. When you forgive, you clear this blockage and restore the flow. This is why many find that blessings arrive swiftly after a deep release, because the space has finally been made for them to enter. The gate of forgiveness requires humility, for it asks you to release the need to be right. The ego resists this, clinging to its story of injustice, believing that letting go means losing. But in truth, holding on is the greater loss. It costs you peace, joy, and the freedom to fully step into the present. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is the courage to choose love over the satisfaction of revenge. It is important to remember that forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation. You may forgive and still choose not to re-enter the same dynamic or environment. The act is an inner release, not an invitation to repeat old patterns. In this way, forgiveness becomes a form of self-respect, allowing you to keep your heart open without compromising your boundaries. Forgiving yourself is equally essential. Many walk through life carrying the heavy weight of their own mistakes, replaying what they should have done differently. This self-condemnation poisons the well from which they draw life. When you forgive yourself, you affirm that you are more than your past choices, that you are worthy of the same grace you would offer another. Self-forgiveness restores your sense of worthiness to receive good things. Sometimes, the gate of forgiveness is approached in layers. A wound may be deep, and the mind may resist full release at first. That is all right. The intention to forgive is itself a step toward freedom. Each time you choose to soften your grip on the memory, you move closer to passing through completely. Forgiveness is not always an instant act, it can be a gradual unfolding. Silence and reflection are powerful companions in this process. In quiet moments, the heart can hear the deeper truth that all souls are learning, growing, and acting from the level of understanding they have in the moment. This awareness does not excuse harm, but it dissolves the illusion that another's actions can define your worth. It shifts your focus from the pain to the lesson, from the injury to the wisdom it brings. When you walk through the gate of forgiveness, the air feels lighter. The horizon opens wide because the past no longer blocks your view. You are no longer defined by what happened, but by who you choose to be now. In this state, the heart becomes fertile ground for new beginnings, and life can finally bring you the beauty you were always meant to receive. Symbols of abundance. Symbols of abundance are the visible reminders of the invisible truth that prosperity is your natural state. They are not merely decorations or possessions, but sacred affirmations that speak directly to the subconscious mind. The human spirit responds to symbols in ways words cannot fully reach. A single image, object, or gesture can awaken the feeling of wealth, wholeness, and plenty more powerfully than a long explanation ever could. Throughout history, every culture has understood the power of symbols. Ancient temples were adorned with golden ornaments, flowing water, and rich fabrics, not simply for beauty, but to embody the vibration of endless supply. Kings and queens surrounded themselves with imagery of harvests, treasures, and celestial blessings to continually affirm their divine right to abundance. These symbols acted as a bridge between the unseen realm of thought and the tangible world of experience. When you consciously surround yourself with symbols of abundance, you speak a silent language to your own soul. The sight of overflowing fruit in a bowl, the sound of a fountain's constant flow, or the feeling of fine fabric against your skin all whisper to the subconscious. I live in a world of more than enough. Over time, this language reshapes your beliefs, and your beliefs reshape your reality. A symbol can be as grand or as simple as you choose. It may be a piece of jewelry that makes you feel valuable, a well-tended plant that represents growth, or a neatly organized wallet that signals readiness to receive. What matters is not the cost of the object, but the meaning you give it. Even a smooth stone, carried in the pocket as a wealth stone, can serve as a powerful reminder that you are connected to infinite supply. Symbols also work through repetition. Just as seeing a stop sign always prompts you to slow down, seeing your chosen abundant symbols daily will condition your mind to expect prosperity. Over time, the symbol and the feeling of abundance become inseparable. The more your mind becomes saturated with this association, the more natural it feels to act, speak, and make choices from a prosperous state of being. These symbols are not meant to replace inspired action. They are meant to align you with the energy that fuels that action. When you feel wealthy within, you naturally take steps that attract wealth without. You hold yourself differently, speak with more confidence, and recognize opportunities others might overlook. The symbol is the spark, and your aligned action is the flame it lights. It is also important to keep your symbols of abundance in good condition. A torn vision board, a broken figurine, or a neglected money plant sends a signal of neglect to the subconscious. Caring for your symbols is a way of caring for your own abundance vibration. It shows the universe that you value the wealth you are calling in, even in its symbolic form. Some people keep a dedicated space, a prosperity altar, where they gather symbols that represent abundance in their life. This may include gold-colored objects, crystals like citrine or jade, coins from different countries, or written affirmations of wealth. Every glance at this space becomes a moment of alignment with your prosperous reality. The beauty of symbols of abundance is that they grow in meaning over time. The longer you live with them, the deeper their connection to your inner knowing becomes. They are like anchors, holding you steady in the truth of infinite supply, even when outer circumstances may try to tell a different story. Through them, you teach your mind that abundance is not something you wait for. It is something you live here and now. Faith beyond the visible. Faith beyond the visible is the unshakable trust that the unseen is more powerful than what the eyes can presently behold. It is the inner knowing that what you desire exists already in the realm of possibility, even if no outer evidence has yet appeared. This kind of faith does not rely on signs or proof. It creates them. It holds fast to the truth that the invisible is the womb of all creation and that every manifestation begins as an unseen seed. When you live with faith beyond the visible, you train yourself to look past appearances. Appearances are often delayed reflections of your past thoughts and beliefs, not the final word on your future. If you make your decisions based solely on what you can see, you remain bound to what has already been created. But when you choose to believe in the unseen, you align yourself with the creative force that shapes tomorrow. This faith is not blind, it is visionary. It sees with the inner eye, the spiritual sight that perceives the completed result long before it takes shape in the physical world. To hold such a vision is to stand in the truth of completion even while walking through the process of becoming. You live in the energy of your answered prayer before it arrives, and in doing so, you hasten its arrival. The challenge for many is that the visible world often presents contradictions to the inner vision. Bills may arrive before the money, closed doors may appear before the open path. Yet faith beyond the visible does not waver. It whispers, "This is not the end, only a scene in the unfolding." By holding steady in belief, you allow the unseen to arrange the outer world into alignment with your inner truth. Faith beyond the visible transforms your relationship with time. You no longer measure progress solely by physical milestones, but by the depth of your conviction and the steadiness of your expectation. Every moment spent in unwavering faith is a moment that strengthens the bridge between the invisible and the visible. In this way, you move from anxious waiting to peaceful expectancy, knowing that your good is as certain as the dawn. This kind of faith also shapes your actions. You no longer take steps from desperation or fear, but from the assurance that your desire is already yours in essence. Each action becomes a joyful confirmation of your belief, like setting a place at the table for a guest you know is on the way. You act not to make something happen, but because you know it is happening. To cultivate faith beyond the visible, you must feed your mind and spirit with truths that affirm the supremacy of the unseen. Daily affirmations, meditation, and visualization become tools to anchor you in this higher reality. You learn to turn away from doubt as you would turn away from poison, refusing to let temporary appearances dictate your permanent reality. Those who master this faith find that the outer world begins to shift in ways that appear miraculous to others. Opportunities emerge from unexpected places, resources arrive at the perfect time, and circumstances align with uncanny precision. But to the one who has lived in faith beyond the visible, it is no surprise. It is simply the natural outworking of a truth long held within. Faith beyond the visible is the quiet certainty that even in the stillness, even in the seeming delay, life is moving in your favor. It is the courage to stand in the reality of your dream when there is nothing in sight to support it, knowing that the invisible hand of creation is already shaping every detail into form. The ancient secrets for manifesting your best life in 2025 are not bound by time, trend, or circumstance. They are eternal principles that have guided dreamers, visionaries, and creators throughout the ages. Whether it is the law of divine correspondence, the sacred word power, the golden expectation, or faith beyond the visible, each truth carries a timeless power that operates beyond the limits of the visible world. When you walk in these principles, you are no longer at the mercy of chance or external conditions. You become a conscious architect of your life, shaping your reality from the inside out. You release what no longer serves you, align with the rhythm of divine timing, and carry yourself in the vibration of already having received your good. Every symbol you keep, every word you speak, every silent moment of trust becomes a brick in the invisible structure of your destiny. Forgiveness clears the path. Gratitude draws blessings closer. Giving opens channels for increase, and unwavering faith holds the vision steady until it manifests. These are not mere ideas to admire. They are living laws to be practiced. They respond to the steady heart, the disciplined mind, and the soul that refuses to settle for less than the full expression of its divine inheritance. As you move forward into 2025, carry these truths as your compass. Let them guide your thoughts, shape your actions, and keep your spirit anchored in certainty. For when you live in harmony with these ancient laws, you will not just wish for your best life, you will embody it, and it will unfold before you in ways more perfect and beautiful than you could ever imagine.